always the telephone that gives us trouble. Yeah, I'll just go get another handheld from upstairs. So that'll be fine. I called that. I could hear it, but I never thought about. I didn't have anybody to answer back. Good evening and welcome to Senator Dick Moore's live telephone town hall. My name is Deborah Keefe of Webster, and I'll be moderating this evening's call. Thanks for taking the time to join us tonight, and we hope you find this call informative. In just a moment, I am going to turn the phone over to Senator Dick Moore for some opening remarks. But first, let me explain the format for tonight's calls. If you would like to ask a question, simply press 0 on your phone, and you'll be connected with a volunteer who will take your question and make sure you get into the queue to speak directly with Senator Moore. As I'm sure the Senator will explain, this is an opportunity for him to speak one-on-one with us, his constituents, and answer any questions you have about his work as well as his campaign. As many of you have noticed, the Senator and Joanne seem to be everywhere, at all of our local events, festivals, and celebrations. Tonight's call does not replace that, but instead gives us the chance to talk to him directly. This is a live question and answer session. By pressing 0 on your phone, you will have the chance to speak directly with Senator Moore. Also, at any time throughout the call, press 1 on your phone if Senator Moore can count on your support in November. I do ask that your questions be short and to the point. We'd like to get through as many of your questions as possible during the call, but we may not be able to get to everyone. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can simply press 0 on your phone at any time throughout the call. And if the Senator can count on your support, press 1. If we don't get to you, you will still have the opportunity to get your question to the Senator, which I'll explain more at the end of our call this evening. Again, I am Deborah Keefe of Webster, and I'm excited to serve as your moderator this evening. And now I introduce to you Senator Richard Moore.
Good evening, and welcome to our telephone town hall. This evening, we're going to really have the questions wide open. Whatever people are want to hear about or want to ask about is fine. I have a couple of announcements to make at the beginning that are very exciting, particularly for in the Webster and Southbridge areas. Tomorrow morning, Tuesday, October 14th, there'll be a ceremony at Hubbard Hospital in Webster, beginning at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 a.m., to officially cut the ribbon for the new Hubbard Hospital Emergency Department. Hubbard, as many people in the area know, is managed by Harrington Hospital of Southbridge. Harrington really stepped in when the finances of Hubbard got a little scary and helped to work out basically a rescue plan to keep the hospital operating in the area, and certainly to provide the benefit of emergency services. The problem at the time, a few years ago, was that the hospital recognized that the Hubbard Emergency Department, as important as it is to the region, needed to be upgraded. We've got some great personnel there. The docs and the nurses that operate there are outstanding, but the place they had to work was probably more of a 1950s version than a 21st century version. There was a very generous local donor who offered to match up to $4 million. And Ed Moore, the CEO, no relation, although we call each other cousin, asked me if the state could be a partner in this renovation. So I was able to convince my colleagues in the Senate first and then in the full legislature to appropriate a grant of $1.5 million, which was then matched by by that private grant. So it really had a value of $3 million. And with that, Harrington agreed to move forward with the renovations. It's about an $8 million project altogether. A lot of folks in the region have donated to it, for some pretty substantially, and others just small donations, but that all adds up, of course, and testifies to the value of this project. So we're going to be cutting the ribbon on this tomorrow morning. Ed Moore will open the ceremony at about 9:30. Jim Waddick, the chairman of the Harrington Board of Trustees, will have some remarks, as will Bill DuPont, the chairman of the Hubbard Health System Board. And then I will speak along with Senator Steve Brewer, who certainly worked closely with me to get the money, since he's the Senate Ways and Means Chair. Our Health and Human Service Secretary, John Polanowitz, will be participating, as will State Representative Harold Norton of Clinton, who helped with the funding in the House. This is a project that will, I think, clearly save lives among people in Webster or Douglas, Oxford, Dudley, or people just passing through on 395. It's an important benefit that I was able to deliver because of my experience and my leadership position in the Senate. Unfortunately, my opponent in the Senate race, Representative Ryan Fatman, voted against the budget that included this item, so he really could not take credit for any of this very positive development for the community. The next day, on Wednesday, at 10 a.m. out in Southbridge, in the former American Optical Plant, another very positive development for the area. And there, what's going to happen is the Quinsigamond Community College, now they've been operating there for, I think, 4 years. Senator Brewer, Congressman Richard Neal, and I helped get them there in the first place, and they've been very successful operating the 2-year program on the Southbridge campus. And we're going to be announcing, through a grant of $300,000 that I was able to include in this year's budget, to launch an advanced manufacturing center, really a workforce training that will help train people in our region for very good jobs in advanced manufacturing. What that is, it's not the old textile or shoe factories, but it's really fiber optics, laser technology, robotics, things of that nature, really 21st century technology. And the average salaries in most of those cases are around $75,000 a year, so very good jobs for people that have the proper training. And we're going to be announcing that program will be beginning during this academic year. We're going to be partnering not only with Quinsigamond, but with Fitchburg State University, and very possibly the University of Massachusetts at Lowell, and potentially other colleges throughout the region that will offer courses there. So people who've already taken their 2-year program at Southbridge or some other place will be able to find courses there that can get them their 4-year degree, and perhaps later on even advanced degrees, and make them far more attractive to employers who are looking for a skilled workforce. So those are two very positive developments that I'm certainly proud to have taken a hand in helping to provide the financial stimulation through the state budget, so that our area gets the benefit of some of the activities at the state level. So with that, I'd like to open it up for questions, and Deb, I'll turn it back to you to handle that.
Thank you, Senator Moore. We have a call from Jane Lowell of Mendon. Her question is regarding what can Senator Moore do for people who are mentally ill? Jane, you're on the line.
Actually, what I was referring to was some housing, as they have for people who are learning disabled, for mentally ill folks who are not able to live on their own. Foxborough State Hospital was totally redone and then totally abandoned, and this I see as an opportunity to provide housing for people who are mentally ill and cannot make it outside on their own.
Right. No, that's a very good concept, and one that I know the state is trying to work on to develop. We obviously need the program to run it. We've got in our area Alternatives is one program. Seven Hills Foundation is another. There are a number of nonprofit vendors that provide the program services. One of the ideal spots, and you mentioned Foxborough State Hospital, there's also Taunton, there's the former Westboro State Hospital. There are a number of those facilities that are still under state ownership that can be developed for that. In fact, I believe in the housing bond that we passed this year, we provide some funding to begin that process of renovation of all state facilities to make them far more attractive and useful for people with developmental disabilities or mental illness. So we're certainly working along that line, and be happy to hear from you offline as we continue to refine that, and certainly we'll be happy to keep you informed and others as to how this is developing across the state.
Thank you, Senator. I have Tova Pittler from Blackstone. Tova, you have a question for the Senator?
Hi, Senator. Actually, it's Tova's father, Jim Pittler.
Okay.
Excuse me. I was kind of curious, and I don't want this to come off sounding negative, but it's just one of those little things that I see that makes me wonder. Your campaign headquarters is in Millbury, and Mr. Fatman says Merrimack Street in Boston, which is obviously government center. And I'm just wondering, do you know why he picked a town outside of the district to be his headquarters?
No, I can't answer that. Although mine is not actually in Millbury. My campaign headquarters is in Webster, right on 76 East Main Street. I'm not sure if that would be I believe the address on Mr. Fatman's literature is the address for the Republican State Committee.
Okay, I was just curious to know. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on the phone, we have Daniel Coonan. Daniel, you have a question for the Senator?
Oh, thank you. Hi, Senator Moore. Dan Coonan here. I've been a long-time supporter of yours, and I think I absolutely despise things that Ryan Fatman is doing and saying around the town of Oxford. And I'd really be interested in getting some of your signs and doing what else I can do to help you get reelected. You've been a great friend to the town of Oxford, as to really central Massachusetts. And, Dick, how can I help you?
Well, Dan, I certainly appreciate the call and welcome it. We will make sure that we just had to order some new signs. We exhausted the amount we had ordered for this campaign initially, so we just ordered some more, and they should be in possibly tomorrow or by Wednesday, they tell us. So we'd be happy to get some signs to you. Would we go to I know you have an insurance agency right on the main street. Is that the best place to connect?
That's actually my brother Tom. I live in North Oxford. I live off of Merrim Road. I'm on a school committee here in town. So I own a little piece of that, but we don't put signs out there. But I'm definitely on my primary residence. I'd love to support your sign out there.
That would be great. Well, we'll get some to you, and we'll make a call. Let you know, and you can tell us, how many, whether you just want one or whatever number you might be able to contact to get some additional ones in Oxford. We'd certainly welcome that.
I would definitely call my buddies, and we'll get some out there for you, Senator Moore. Keep up the good work, and we look forward to your reelection.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye now.
All right, now I'd just like to remind you that if you would like to leave a message and speak to Senator Moore, please press 0. If you wish to assist Senator Moore in his campaign and show your support, press 1. The next on the line is Steve Gerbeck from Oxford. Steve, you have a question for the Senator?
Hi, I was just wondering your position on the new gun laws and how they seem to be targeting lawful gun owners more than criminals.
Well, I voted against the bill in its final form, largely because of a problem that I saw with making it harder for lawful folks to exercise their Second Amendment rights with the FID card, the Firearms Identification Card. Initially, when the bill left the Senate, that was not a problem. We weren't really significantly changing that part of the law. And I thought if we could have adopted the Senate's version, we would have had a much stronger bill that was beneficial to people who are law-abiding citizens to be able to own firearms and use them as appropriate, But then when it came back from conference, there was a part of that required that if the police chief didn't want to grant you or anyone an FID card, they could go to court, and you would then have to defend yourself basically as to why you are entitled to it. And I thought that was an added burden for people who are legitimately entitled to that FID card. So I didn't vote for the final bill, although I do think there are some features of it that are positive. There certainly were it requires a written denial from the police chief or whoever is issuing the permits locally, so that you do have some grounds for appeal if need be. And it had some very positive stuff for school safety that allows, for instance, that when the school building authority, Mass School Building Authority, reviews a proposal for a new school or major renovations of a school, they can incorporate and they have to include, if the town presumably would want, some security measures to control access to the school, so that you don't have the situation such as they had in Connecticut where the individual was able to break in, and this would certainly give the police time to respond to one of those kinds of incidents. God forbid that we should have them in our area, but nevertheless, you need to be prepared. So I couldn't support the final bill because I thought it intruded too greatly on individual Second Amendment rights, and we'll just have to continue to watch that. I do have an A+ rating with the NRA and with Gold, so something I've had for a number of years because I do believe that the Constitution was correct when it was drafted many years ago.
Thank you, Senator. I have had Catherine Lansing from Milford on the line. She's been on hold for a while. Senator, we'll turn the call over to Catherine. You have a question for the Senator.
Hi, Dick. I just want to tell you I support you all the way, and if you want to put a sign on with Fernandez on my gate, you're welcome to. I'm at 298 Main Street, okay?
Okay, we'll take care of it as soon as we get those signs, probably in the next couple of days.
And I really appreciate everything you do for everything, even the Scouts.
Oh, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Happy to do it.
Thank you, Catherine. We now have Joan Giotis on the line from Webster. Joan, you have a call for the Senator? A question for the Senator?
Hi, Dick. Joan Giotis. Again,
Joan.
Thank you for all the years that you have served us without asking for anything in return except your vote again, and you certainly have it. What is your position on women's equal pay?
Oh, I definitely support that. It's really, I think it's unfortunate. It's actually a crime. I think that pay throughout history has been for women has been secondary, and sometimes I think originally women were kind of limited to certain jobs. They weren't allowed to get into things like construction or professional jobs. They had to take kind of second level jobs. If they could be a secretary, but they could never be the boss and that sort of thing. And I think the lines get out of kilter that way. But now, when people are doing the same work, having the same responsibility, there's no reason why that all things being equal, that men and women should be paid the same. They do the work. If they have the same, many times have the same or more seniority. And it's just we're at a time now where we really do need to have the pay scales equal. And certainly, when we voted earlier to start advancing the minimum wage and to try to get it to some degree of being a living wage, we really want that to apply to both males and females, and in fact, even to younger workers as well. There were some proposals to try to pay very young workers 25% less than the minimum wage, and I've worked talking to my own Senate Youth Council that I have appointed of high school kids from throughout the district. They said, look, we don't change from one day to the next when we have a birthday, that we're not that much more qualified. We should get paid whatever the job requires. So I think, I hope we're getting there, but I hope we get there more quickly to having equal pay for equal work.
Thank you, Joan. We now have a question from Craig from Webster, but before that, I'd like to remind everyone, if you do want to ask the Senator a question, please press 0 and you will be put into the queue. 1 if you want to show your support. Craig, you from Webster, please ask your question of the Senator.
Hi, Dick. It's actually Greg Contos. You've been a family friend for many years. I am a Republican that supports you. And here in Central Mass, there are a lot of fiscal conservatives out there. So I appreciate the hard work you've done for us, and because you're a friend, you have my support wholeheartedly. But can you please explain to all the fiscal conservatives out there why you supported raising our gas tax? Can you make us feel better by why you think it's a good idea?
Well, my priority has been for the last, certainly this term and even last term, has been the importance of creating jobs in the region. And our safe roads and bridges are critical to that, both in the short term with the construction and the reconstruction of those facilities, but also making sure that people can get to work safely and hopefully on time if we have adequate roads. A good example, and I don't know how often you travel over through on Route 146 over in Sutton, but there's been a problem there for several years. There's a traffic light at Boston Road, just past Pleasant Valley's entrance, and the traffic in the morning backs up, and then in the evening again backs up, and it slows people down, and a lot of times they're late for work. But there's been, for close to 10 years now, there's been a proposal for a shopping center, particularly a grocery store and some smaller stores at that intersection on the northbound side. And the company, it happens to be now Price Chopper, is building there. They didn't build until we assured them that we were going to improve the intersection and the traffic flow. And now they're under construction. You can see the construction work going on there. It's about a $7 million project, and that the money that we use, and we've got like $12 billion worth of bridge repairs that are needed across the state, some of them in our own area. So it was really it's like anything, when you charge something, eventually the bill comes through and you've got to pay for it, and we were falling further and further behind with road and bridge construction. The cost over the 20 years since the gas tax was last adjusted has been, the cost of constructing those roads and bridges has increased about 55%, mostly based on the price of steel, which you need in the bridges. China's been buying up all the steel they can get hold of, so it has supply and demand. The supply has been down and the demand's been up, and the prices of steel has gone up. Same thing, everybody's very familiar with the price of oil, and that certainly has increased. Oil is a basic component of asphalt, and labor has increased over the 20-year period. So with those rising costs, the problem is we were doing less and less construction and falling further and further behind with the safety of our bridges. And we were not able to provide the help to the cities and towns either. The town of Webster, for instance, is entitled to what's called Chapter 90 highway assistance money that helps the town to do its repair. When we increased that amount, the legislature has authorized up to $300 million a year for town roads. The governor, because he's concerned about the question that's on the ballot, has only allocated $200 million in the last 2 years. But the people are ultimately going to decide. There's a question on the ballot, as you probably know, to adjust a portion of that. And if the people should pass that, then I'm certainly going to honor their wishes. But we'll probably at some point, not too far down the line, have to take another look at the rate that's being charged. It was really a compromise with what the governor wanted us to raise the gas tax by 11 cents and also have an inflation factor. We in the legislature thought that 3 cents increase was enough, given that we're just coming out of the Great Recession, but that we kept the inflation factor in because we knew that it will go. We will have the need for it. One thing that I don't think people have had explained to them is that if inflation gets out of hand, right now it's only about 2%, but if it were to get back to what it was 20, 30 years ago, the legislature certainly has the authority and the ability to freeze that, and we would. We showed that with the unemployment tax, that every year was supposed to go up, and each year we vote to freeze it. so that it holds, and we have adequate money coming in for the fund. So it's a variety of reasons, but it was really what I thought was the responsible thing to do, and the public can decide if they think that was going too far, then they'll change it, and we'll abide by that, and just have to try to figure out what we'll need to do in the future for road and bridge construction to make sure that our roadways are safe for the kids that use it and all the families that use it.
Thank you, Senator. Just a reminder, if you have a question that you would like to ask the Senator directly, press 0 on your phone. If you would like to show support of the Senator, press 1. Our next call is from Margie Henderson of Webster. Margie, you have a question for the Senator?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. Hi, Senator Moore. I just have a comment, actually, to make. I received a parking ticket on my own front lawn. I live on Blueberry Hill. I don't know if you know where that is in Webster, above the lake. And I called the town. And I received it 11 years later. I've never had a speeding ticket in my life. I called the town. She doesn't work here anymore. The registrar's office. I called my congressman's office. I called the governor's office. My mother was the first woman selectwoman in Auburn. I know she knew you, and actually she was a longtime supporter, Marjorie O'Neill. And I also have voted for you in every election. I'm a vice president, regional manager of all of New England for a bank, and all of my colleagues typically vote Republican, but I don't. I vote for you. But anyway, I called everybody down the line, and the only office that helped me was yours. And actually, I didn't get anywhere in the long run, but I just want you to know they were the only ones that returned my call and were most helpful. 3 or 4 times they called me back.
Well, I've been very fortunate over the years to have some outstanding, mostly young people who have been on my staff. And in fact, we had a little different kind of an issue that was called in it was a few weeks ago. Someone from the area had gotten a ticket for driving over the Golden Gate Bridge out in San Francisco, and they had never been there. And the plate, they showed up the plate number was the same number and a Massachusetts plate. However, trailer plates have the same numbers as passenger cars do, and so this happened to be a trailer. But the bridge authority was not about to grant any benefit to our constituent back here. Unfortunately, because I've been very involved in our National Conference of State Legislatures, I personally knew one of the California state senators who had been on our executive committee, and I sent the material to him, and he was able to get it cleared up, so the fine was dropped, and the individual who hadn't been able to get anywhere before was able to be relieved of that burden that was unfairly applied to them. So we sometimes are able to get these things squared away, sometimes not, but we certainly are willing to try to be as helpful to everyone as we can.
Thank you, Senator. We have the option again to speak to the Senator directly by pressing 0 on your phone, and you will be put into the queue to speak to the Senator, or press 1 on your phone to show the Senator that he has your support. The next person on the line is Gina from Oxford. Gina, you have a question for the Senator?
Hello, are you there?
Yes, Gina.
Hello?
Yes,
hi. Yes. Okay. I just want to tell you, I am a mom of a child who has special needs. She has autism, and I just wanted to speak about that there is an epidemic that is going on right now. Every child that's being born right now, 1 out of 6 children or 1 out of 3 became being neurological. They either becoming autism, PDD, Asperger's, and I know myself that it was because of being damaged with all the immunization shots. And I know you won't hear about it on the television. If you're on the internet, there was a lot of information going on the websites that if you go into the internet and you type in whistleblower.com, because there's a lot of information how the CDC has been hiding all the data that all the children who have been damaged with all the immunization shots, and now it's coming out. You won't hear it on the television because the pharmaceutical company owns the station. So when you're on the website, they all tell you to call your state rep. And for some reason, my phone just rang that it's your conference. I'm like, that is strange. So I wanted to speak to you. And I know somebody had spoken about the mental ill. I don't want her to be institutionalized or housing. I want her to be healed and get medical help because she is not mentally ill. She's damaged because of mercury toxicity, either aluminum or formaldehyde or ether, and all the preservatives that they put in all the immunization shots, because now they give kids 36 vaccines before they're age 5. It's unbelievable, and unfortunately, excuse me.
We've
hello?
Hello, you there? In the current session, we have passed a major autism bill to provide treatment and assistance to young people with autism. And we actually got a former state representative who's now running for state senator up in the Essex County area, has an autistic child, and she's been a leader in making some of the changes. So hopefully she'll be joining us in the Senate in this new term, and I'm sure she'll take that cause as one of her primary areas of activity. So I'm sorry for your situation, but I do hope we can come up with some treatment and some help for families who have autistic children. There, as you know, there's a whole range of how that condition affects children, from being requiring a lot of services to simply being helped and coached, and later they do very well. So it's a lot we have to learn about the disease, and a lot more that we hope to do to be able to treat young people who are with that condition.
Thank you, Senator. We only have a couple calls in the queue at this moment. If you'd like to get in there and ask the Senator a question directly, please press 0 on your phone. If you would like to show support of the Senator, press 1. Again, 0 on your phone to ask the Senator a direct question. Next on the line is Jason Slowenwhite from Dudley. Jason, you have a question for the Senator?
Hi, Senator. I got two quick questions. First, what's your favorite Rolling Stones song?
Time Is on My Side, I think, would be my favorite.
All right, good one. Are you for or against gay marriages?
Well, I voted when the issue came up. I voted to put the question on the ballot, but I thought that was that the people should have a voice in deciding that. As it's turned out, now that we have it, it seems that the world hasn't come to an end, and people have make that choice. That it's who am I to interfere with that? I think the Pope has taken the same attitude. Not that I'm in the same league as he is, but that in fact we're seeing gay divorces too now. It's just as we have in heterosexual marriages as well. So I think it's the law now. It is. I don't see any movement to repeal it. So I think we're going to have to deal with it as it is, and respect the folks that have made that choice.
Thank you, Senator. Again, 0 if you would like to ask the Senator a question directly. The next person on the phone is Rye Ribbett from Blackstone. Rye, you have a question for the Senator.
Thank you. Hi, Senator Moore.
Hi, how are you?
I wanted to make a comment, and I had a question. My comment is, my parents grew up as supporters, and I went to your fundraisers, and I don't know if you remember me, but I just
Loretta?
wanted to... Rye.
Yeah, but is your mother...
Maloney was my maiden name.
Okay, all right. Yep.
Rita Maloney?
Yes, sure. And Rita very well. Used to see her at the front of the town hall.
Right. I just wanted to say that growing up and knowing you and knowing your policies, you've always seemed to be very intellectual when it came to anybody's question, anybody's problem. You were so compassionate that you even made it your problem. And no matter who you would see in public, you always took the time to chit-chat and say hello, whether they be a politician or just a regular layman not in the political world. And I always admired that about you. And I know people that have gone to you with specific problems, and you did take the time and you had the compassion and you really helped them out. And in my eyes, you're the only one that should be reelected senator.
Well, thank you. And
go ahead.
It's really, I think, frankly, I'd much more prefer to talk to regular people than politicians anyway, but we do have to talk to them once in a while in order to get things done in Boston. But it's, I feel that part of my job is to try to help people. I've been trying to do that throughout my career, to work with people if they have a problem, to try to get them the best answer we can, try to be helpful if it can solve the problem. Sometimes it's beyond my level of expertise or authority, because sometimes it's a federal issue that we have to work with our congressional counterparts to see if they can be helpful. But it's really part of the job, and I think it's important that we call people back, that we try to get back to them when they call us or email us now. And my staff is on top of that as well, that we try to let no one fall through the cracks, although I don't know if we're 100%, but we try very hard to be at that level, because that's part of the job. And you can't be out knocking on doors, campaigning for the next highest office, and still be helping people who have issues that they need attention. And that's why I spend a lot of time working at the State House, as do my aides, to make sure that we address all the problems that people come to us with.
Thank you, Senator. Again, I remind everyone, please get your questions to the point so that we can get as many callers in as possible. The next person on the line is Erin from Bellingham. Erin, you have a question for the Senator?
Hi, Senator. I would just like to know your position on illegal immigration.
Well, it's illegal. I guess that's part of the quick way of answering. It's largely a federal issue. We have the results of it that we have to deal with at the state and local level. But at the federal level, the federal government has yet to figure out a way to really control the borders, or even to monitor people who come here with a visa. And then oftentimes I'm told it's over 40% of the people who are here illegally are that they overstayed their visa. And the federal government hasn't done a very good job of tracking them and following up and working with them to see whether they should be allowed to stay or whatever the condition may be back home. But I've actually worked very closely with Representative John Fernandez of Milford to tighten up some of the rules. That we had people that were able to get registration of motor vehicles who weren't legally here, and we tightened that up and require a Social Security number to get to register, and also that's required for licenses too. So we're trying as much as the legislation can be done to make it less attractive for people to be here illegally. We have to struggle with that while the federal government figures out what they think is the right answer. But we are dealing with some of the costs of illegal immigration. The federal government requires us to do certain things like provide emergency care for them if they're injured. And so some of it we're required to simply do what the federal government's ordered us to do. But we need to, I've contacted our congressional folks and urged them to say when that happens, then the federal government has a responsibility to help the states and the communities to pay that bill until the feds can resolve somebody's status here. So I hope we can get it solved at the national level so we don't have to wrestle with it at the state and local level. The Constitution says they control who comes here and who's a citizen. So I've certainly been working with our congressional folks to try to encourage them to take a more active role in this process. I certainly talked to Congressman Kennedy about it, who represents Bellingham, and I know he's concerned as well and wants to get to a solution.
Thank you, Senator. Again, if you want to show your support of the senator, please press 1 on your phone. The next person on the line is Denise from Dudley, and her question's regarding welfare reform. Denise, you have a question for the senator.
Yes, good evening.
Evening, Denise.
My question is simple. I just wonder where you stand on some kind of welfare reform. We all see that there is so much fraud going on that I feel it leaves little for people who really, really need it.
Well, and I agree with you. My idea is that welfare should be a temporary situation to help people get the education or training they need in the short run, so they can get a job and earn their own living, and not expect the public to be paying the bill forever and ever. We did vote a major reform bill in this term that I think will be, it's just being implemented in the last few months, I think will be a step in the right direction. We require photos on EBT cards, the electronic benefit cards. We require Social Security numbers to access any of the benefits, so it should only go to people who are here legally. Now, one of the things that we run into sometimes is that if a family of people who are here illegally should have a child while they're here, that child is under federal law becomes an American citizen. So they're entitled to some benefits, which has caused some confusion, I think, among the public as to who's getting those benefits. But we need to make sure that the fraud is not taking place. We found actually about the beginning of the year, the auditor, state auditor, did a survey and found that people were filing, were saying that they had lost their electronic benefit card. And that's understandable to happen occasionally, but we were seeing reports of 21,000 lost cards per month. So part of the welfare reform bill is to put a check on that, so that when someone loses a card, they have to actually explain what happened, and they are entitled to one free replacement, and after that they have to pay a fee and explain what happened, where the card went. So that, we think, is going to cut down on the fraud. It's a system like anything else, like credit cards and anything else you find, that you can set up the rules, and eventually somebody figures out a way to get around them to get benefits to which they're not entitled. And so we have to be vigilant all the time. And I think we'll be reforming the system periodically. As we find that people have found ways to get around it, we have to close those loopholes and get back so that we don't lose the program for the people who really do need some temporary assistance.
Thank you. Again, if you would like to speak to the senator directly to ask him a question, press 0 on your phone. If Senator Moore can count on you for your support, press 1. The next person on the line is Diane from Webster, and her question also pertains to EBT cards. Diane, you have a question for the senator?
Yes. Hi, Senator. I actually, it's interesting that I was made the call to ask a question while obviously these other people were asking on the same topic. I maybe have bad information. I was under the impression that you had voted no on both of those Senate bills, the one regarding the EBT card photo ID and then the other regarding Social Security number for public assistance. Did you vote for or against those bills?
I voted for photos on EBT cards, and I voted for Social Security numbers on the request for assistance. People can sometimes pick out votes that are budget amendment votes and things of that nature, where we would vote against an amendment that doesn't have any money to implement the system. But my vote on that counted certainly was to put the photos in EBT cards. They are now on those cards, and Social Security numbers are now required to get an application for benefits. So I think I'm doing the people's business the correct way.
Thank you, Senator. It seems to be the gas tax is a hot topic also. We have Sandy from Southbridge. Sandy, you have a question?
Yes, hello. I would like to know, before the gas tax went up, just how many places of tax does the state get for roads and highways and bridges?
Well, that's the primary tax for that. What the legislation that when we did that gas tax change, we reformed a number of other payments that should have been all along supporting roads and bridges. For instance, all of the fees now that the registry collects go into the transportation fund. The sales tax that comes in for when you buy a new vehicle or even a used vehicle, the sales tax receipts go into the transportation fund. So we've tried to combine anything that has something to do with transportation. If it's a fee or a tax, it goes into that fund, and that is something that can be monitored by the public and by the auditors and others to make sure that it in fact is used for that purpose. So that it's really, the intent is to make sure we have enough money to fix all of those problems and maintain those roads. And if anyone who's driven this past spring knows that we had a few potholes just about everywhere you would drive, and part of that is the New England weather, but the other part of it is if the roads aren't being properly maintained, that weather can make you really do a number on the roads and bridges, and we need to have better condition. We need to really upgrade our roads over time as much as we can afford it, so that they're safe and so that people can get to work without damaging their vehicle, because then they have to pay something else rather than through the taxes. So it's important that we get it right. I think we're on the right track, and we'll have to monitor to make sure we are always using it for the right purpose and not overcharging.
Thank you, Senator. Again, I remind anyone who wants to speak to the Senator directly to press 0 and 1 if the Senator can count on your support. The next call is from Andrea Wexler from Milford, and it's regarding nursing home care and availability. Andrea, you have a question for the Senator?
Hi, yes. I'm interested in nursing home care for the elderly. Right now, the elderly have to be taken care of at home by their family, and this poses a very large burden upon the family. Members have to quit work and so on and so forth. I was wondering what can be done about this situation.
Well, of course, if the individual needs to, the law, and it's actually federal law for Medicaid purposes, that you have to be spent down to a certain level of income or assets, so that the individual qualifies for Medicaid, which is the main supplier of the funds for nursing homes. We do try, we have programs that we try to have the money follow the person to try to be helpful, so that, because most people, unless they have Alzheimer's or some debilitating illness of that nature, prefer to live in their own home. Obviously, if they have Alzheimer's or dementia, they need supervision, and that oftentimes means a nursing home or something in that vintage. And so Medicaid ultimately is the payer of last resort for those bills, and there is oftentimes, depending on income, it's often limited to help that people can get to have somebody come in to provide respite care, for the caregivers. We've looked at some areas of trying to actually provide financial assistance to families that are caring for an elderly relative or even a neighbor, and that's a program that's just about to get off the ground. So we're looking for a variety of ways, because obviously not everybody needs the same level of care, same level of attention. But I think if you check with the Department of the Department of Medicaid and Mass Health, it's basically called, they could provide the rules, or if you just check with my office, we can try to be helpful in getting you the details for that.
Thank you, Senator Moore, for taking the time to speak with us tonight and for making this service available to all of us. This is all the time we have for this evening. If we did not get to your questions, please stay on the line, because in just a moment you'll have the opportunity to leave a voicemail directly for Senator Moore with your questions, comments, or feedback. That concludes our call this evening. I want to thank everyone for joining us. And again, thank you for taking the time out this evening. Please remember to vote on November 4th. I'd like to turn over the speaker to Senator Moore for his closing comments.
Well, thank you, Deb, and thank you for your work tonight as our moderator. I thought we had some great questions and a lot of good input. Hopefully, I was able to respond and answer those questions for the people who called in. And if not, certainly email the office or call the office, and we will try to be helpful. What I continue to do is I try to make myself as available as possible, as most people know, by having a coffee hour at a local coffee shop or holding office hours in the local town hall, attending all kinds of community events that people will oftentimes approach me about some concern or some issue that they would like to discuss with me. And this is another extension, a way that we can actually hold a conversation with a number of people, at least listening in, and certainly everybody has the opportunity to try to get their question in the lineup and get a response. I expect we're going to do this from time to time over the next few weeks and hopefully over the next couple of years in another way to gather information and gather a sense of what people are feeling, so that when I do vote in Boston, that it represents the views of the people who elected me. So thank you for participating.
Thank you and good evening.